What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mark David Meyer, with the fire, here to share ideas and take our collective vibration up a little bit higher. So today is the first day of Aquarius season. Shout out to the Aquarius. If it's your birthday, happy solar return. I don't really want to talk about Aquarius right now. I want to talk about Chiron in the sign of Aries. Since February of 2019, the asteroid Chiron has been transiting the sign of Aries, and we'll have this transit until 2027. Chiron takes about 50 years to make it across our zodiac belt, okay? And because its orbit is widely elliptical, it doesn't spend an equal amount of time in all 12 signs. So the transit of Chiron through the Aries constellation is going to be a long one. So it's time to buckle up and just understand what this means. If you guys are new to my channel, you're going to hear me say many times that we need to take the judgment and the bias out of astrology. I'm going to just speak from my Leo Mercury and my Libra moon heart. I fucking hate when astrologers teach astrology as if it's something to be worried or scared about. It makes no fucking sense. So you won't hear me come up on YouTube or TikTok and say, oh, watch out for Chiron, watch out for Mercury retrograde, watch out for this, because no, there's nothing you need to do besides be aware of the energy and the influences in yourself, period. It is serious, but it's not that fucking serious. So I digress. Let's talk about Chiron, what it does for all of us, as above, so below, and then what we can expect for the rest of this 7-year transit, because we're already about 3 years into it, right? So we got about 4 more years to buckle down and integrate through the Aries energy. So the important thing you need to know about Chiron before anything else is that this asteroid, this body of awareness, is right outside of Saturn's orbit. Saturn is our last planet we can see without a telescope. You can go outside if it's in the sky and just point at it, implying your vision isn't too bad. You can just look at Saturn, okay? But Chiron is outside of the human boundary of vision. You're gonna need a telescope to see it, right? So generally speaking, planets outside of Saturn's orbit are considered outer planets. And when we look at the resonance or correspondence as far as what these things do for us in our astrology, we'll notice that the outer planets, the generational planets, do pertain to influences that are seen broadly. Like I said, generational is a good word. But when we look at it in context of house position, aspects, and then your inner planets, you'll be able to see that the outer planets have a lot to do with your spiritual journey and higher faculties of the inner planets. So what is Chiron supposed to do? Because it's our first body past Saturn, it helps us connect to the bodies behind Chiron. That would be Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and all the Kuiper Belt objects and everything past our inner planets, right? So in short, I will let you know Chiron is about spiritual awakening. This is about integrating higher levels of consciousness within the body, the soul, the mind, whatever you want to call it. At this point, it's a little semantic, but if you've read about Chiron and you even experienced your Chiron, you know it has a little bit to do with suffering, a little bit to do with trauma and healing. And I do have multiple videos on my channel about Chiron within its sign and house position. So if you don't know where your Chiron is, I encourage you to hit the link in the bio, go get a free natal chart, and then go figure out where your Chiron is within its sign and house. Watch that video and I'll show you how you can expect to see this energy within yourself. To call Chiron the wounded healer is accurate, but it's not a full picture of what this energy represents. A lot of times gaining consciousness or light or information can be abrasive and hard, and it may challenge your reality, aka Saturn, the society, or restrictions and limits and things that you've structured your life out of, okay? So whenever you touch those outer planets, it feels like a lightning strike. That is Uranus shooting you in the tower to help you raise your vibration, okay? Raising your vibration is kind of hard. In my consultations, a lot of times, I will often give the analogy of a caterpillar for humans making the transition from Saturn to Uranus, where Saturn is the sedentary 3D person who's living, eating, paying bills, doing their thing, existing, right? Okay. So then you'll hit that's Saturn return. We can call these like the major life stages. Saturn return is the graduation of sedentary caterpillar life, right? When you hit Uranus opposition at 42, you will go through changes and metamorphosis on an energetic level. And this is like the chrysalis or the cocoon. And once you hit Chiron return at 50, Generally speaking, this is butterfly time, and you can go out and fly and experience freedom and full integration of your DNA, the light codes, whatever the fuck you want to call it. At this point, it's sounding a little more woo-woo, but if you're following me, you're following me, okay? So, Chiron is about integration. And like I said, there's major life transits. You don't have to wait till you're 50 to use Chiron's energy. This sounds like a digression, but it's not. It's very important when we study the transit of Chiron, okay? Chiron was discovered in 1977 in the Taurus constellation. Chiron has not made its return to its discovery point since its discovery, right? So what this means is humanity has collectively not integrated the energy of Chiron yet. We're collectively doing this as a species, right? You should understand that humanity has to evolve its consciousness to a certain point to even perceive these bodies in the sky. Same way we had to invent a telescope and get smart enough scientifically to find Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Same thing with Chiron. But in 77, this discovery had a lot to do with humanity evolving in a holistic sense, healing through spirituality, holistic medicine, Reiki, energy medicine, acupressure, crystals, divination, astrology, cartomancy. Chiron rules all of these things. So it's really important, like I said, for you to know where your own Chiron is so you know how you make the transition into your spirituality and how you deal with your suffering and your pain or whatever core wounds need addressed so you can tune into your gifts. Chiron for everybody in the natal chart represents a high level of awareness. And once you ground this awareness through Saturn, you can become the lightning rod rather than just getting struck by lightning and dying like whoever the fuck. I know that dude with the kite didn't die, but you want to be the lightning rod. That's the best picture I can give you, so you can truly ground this energy down. So what does Chiron and Aries mean for all of us? Chiron and Aries transiting through our solar system means we are collectively all going to be making the integration into our spiritual journey through Aries, which is cardinal fire, and Mars energy, which means instincts, passion, and intentions and desires. This is the time, now more than ever, to check your motherfucking intentions, dude. And I say this with swear words because I'm a Leo Mercury, but at the same time, this shit is serious, y'all. I knew this at the beginning of the pandemic, just intuitively, but Chiron and Aries is the final sweep before we make it back to Chiron and Taurus, okay? And then we completely integrate the lessons of healing. And I can't say completely, that sounds a little bit exaggerated, but we'll make it through the first Chiron loop on Earth. Doesn't mean the first one, but the first one we've been consciously aware of. So that's very important to be aware of, all right? Chiron will hit the Taurus constellation June 19th of 2026. It's going to take a little bit longer for Chiron to hit the 3-degree Taurus point where it was discovered, but we can see this energy around 2026. So we have about 4 more years to make the closing of this loop. Generally speaking, Chiron return means a lot of lessons resurfacing or cycles closing from 1977. Globally speaking, we can expect a lot of healing to happen in our society. This is going to be a huge shift of values. We've talked a lot about Uranus transiting Taurus right now, but this is going to be Chiron transiting Taurus. So new levels of awareness within our values or resources or possessions, food supply and money. Chiron will conjunct Taurus or Uranus and Taurus at some point. So we want to think about that too. The nodal axis will have Chiron cross this as well. There's so much stuff happening within the Taurus constellation in the next couple years. So collectively, with this going through Aries before we hit Taurus, this means we're going to have to check our vision, see how we see the world. Aries is all about how you create vision, your spark, your impulse, and maybe even your identity, with this being the ruler of the first house. A lot of times it's not what you're seeing in the world that makes the difference, it's how you see it. So your beliefs, your unconscious instincts, the things that you do all the time, just on impulse, is somewhat congruent to the way that we are integrating our spirit right now. People are being drawn instinctively to spirituality these days, and it seems to be gaining more and more traction. And like I had talked about, with Chiron making its return since its discovery, this will be a mass spiritual awakening for damn near everybody that has the instinct or the willpower to survive and expand. And I had said I made a prediction. I don't think I said what it was, but in the beginning of the pandemic, with Chiron transiting the last sign before its return, I perceived this like the Reaper. And I know that we do see a lot of people physically dying from COVID and this, that, and the third. And I'm just going to go out and state this because there's no scientific proof. I don't need Dr. Fauci to back this fucking shit up. It's like a lot of people are immune compromised. Some people are spiritually compromised, and that's why they're dying of COVID, you know? And I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to get personal and try to like call out anybody's family, but think about it. Think about how many people are being wiped out nowadays. And think about how our collective vibration is going up a little bit higher amidst these dark times. We might be experiencing a lot of authority problems through Saturn and Taurus and a lot more restriction and isolation and alone time. But when all you have is time to reflect and think about the outside world, generally speaking, we get to find freedom within the mind. So people are waking up instinctually just because they don't really want to abide by the restrictions and limits of external authority. So they're shifting their authority inside. And this is making a world of a difference and showing people that they actually are the creator of their reality and things of that nature. So this being said, Chiron is going to be a little bit painful, like we talked about through the sign house position of your natal chart. Same thing when we talk about transit. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. It's not to be scared of, just to be aware of, in the sense that we're all going to be integrating through our passions, our instincts, but also the way that we're seeing the world. So whether it's your own limitations and mistakes blocking you or authority from the world outside of you, you're going to need to see yourself differently. You're going to have to change your habits and your impulses and instincts. And quite literally, I know that so many people preach this on things that aren't even astrology, but instant gratification will be the death of a lot of people in Chiron and Aries. And I mean this literally, but I'm also meaning it figuratively, emotionally, metaphysically, spiritually. Instant gratification will be the death of a lot of people. Our tendency to impulsively act on things without questioning or looking at what the fuck we're seeing or why we're doing it in retrospective self-assessment. You got to look before you leap, and you have to be intentional. The cool thing about Aries is having an intention and a desire. But if you don't use these desires consciously and connect Mars to Pluto, your Pluto will drag you by the fucking feet. And then don't be surprised if you don't have any authority or control over your life. Not trying to be spooky, but you should understand what these mean by now. And if not, I have a shit ton of videos explaining this. So in short, to kind of just restate this as a point, Chiron in Aries is about choosing spiritually right desires, or ones that are conducive to your growth or personal authority, or being able to see the world in a different or better way. We could talk about Saturn in Aquarius. I don't want to do that right now because it's going to make the video a lot longer. But generally speaking, you guys know, just as a human on the world, we're all collectively facing some interesting, unprecedented issues. So the way out is through and together, period. Together. We have to come together, unify, because a unified effort is always better than an individual one. And I'm not here to talk about they and what they want, but generally speaking, if there is any narrative or force that would oppose humanity's survival, it's our instinct or willingness to separate. And let's fucking cut that shit out, man. Know thyself so you can know the world and operate better within the two. If you know thyself, you can know thy place in the world. And that's simple as that, y'all. So I love you guys. I hope you benefited from this video. If you got anything cool out of it, hit that like button. I know I went in. Leave me a comment. If you guys have any questions or any other videos you'd like to see, leave them in the comments. Let me know what you want to see. I appreciate your time. Thank you for subscribing. We hit over 1K, and then like the next day we hit 1,100. So that just blew my mind. I can't thank you guys enough for the support.